Hey, what's going on, my freaks and geeks? We are the Square Round Table. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. Yeah, guys, tonight we have a very special guest. Joining us tonight, we have singer, songwriter, composer, and an all-around awesome person, Kotomi.
Oh, why, thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Not too much, had a good day of actually a lot of music making, so I feel productive and like I've earned a glass of wine. So
Here you go.
Yeah, there it is.
That's how you got to do it, definitely.
Yeah, a little work-life balance.
I couldn't imagine though, like just because just being a creative period, just like having those moments where you have like either writer's block or artist block. I can only imagine you having to sit and write music or compose all day. It's got to be a little stressful after a while.
Yeah, it started off as something I just did for fun, and so which I spent a lot of time doing it, but when I got my first like paying job writing music, I realized like, oh, I have to be there every day at 8 a.m. and you just start writing music. And I'm like, I've never written music that early in the morning. Like, how's that gonna go? And you just figure it out. And it was, my first job was at a company that did a lot of music for ads. They did like TV and film stuff too, but the day in and day out was ads, which most people think of like super cheesy jingles, which we definitely did some of those.
Okay.
I may have sang the Meow Mix at one point, which was
Are you serious?
my first yeah, that was
Are you serious? That's what's up.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's been around for a long, long time, but for a certain span of like a year, I was the one meowing, melodically meowing. Yeah, that was my first probably like singing gig that worked out.
That's pretty cool.
But anyways, yeah, with all the ads, it's like, you just have to write at least for one or two every day. So even when you're not feeling inspired or in any way creative, it's like, well, it's due in 4 hours, so I'm just going to start. And like, it's good because you kind of learn how to make music and creativity happen even when you're not feeling creative, which is a good thing to be able to tap into. Like, I love when you're on a walk or on a drive and it's like this amazing idea like strikes you and you're like, oh, the lyrics come into place, and like sometimes that happens, but a lot of times it's just like sitting down and getting the work of it done, So anyways, yeah, I learned so much at that job. Before that, I had been making like electronic music at home, but that was the first. I was working at like an actual studio where, there was an engineer and there was this big room with a bunch of instruments, and we would hire like a drummer, a percussionist, a choir, like, so it was the first time I was like working with other people and collaborating, and I had to figure out how to communicate my ideas, and like write them down for other people. So it was very stressful, and I slept at work on the couch many times because I'd be working till like, very late. And that was like composing boot camp, I think, for me, which was
so it kind of prepared you for now, like how like, I guess the business of that works.
Yeah, totally. And just the skill set of learning how to write music. Like, I only, up until that point, I was making music that I liked, but it was like, hey, we need you to make sort of like a jazzy or like a bossa nova track for this perfume ad. I was like, oh, I've never written bossa nova before. So like, you kind of like learn to be versatile. And yeah, it was a huge learning curve because I didn't study composition at any point. Like, I never went to school for composing. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would, because I'm sure that like it's just like it would have been a lot more efficient to just cram all that into 4 years. But I've been just learning as I go, which I think makes you kind of develop your own approaches to things rather than being taught how to do something. You kind of like, I'd like to think it makes you maybe develop like a unique, slightly less efficient, but your own style in a way, like your own voice. So anyways, yeah, that company was like where I learned how to make something that sounded broadcast ready and like how to properly mix something and like get all the levels right and all that technical stuff. Yeah, that was super fun. But yeah, you have to just make music even when you don't want to, if it's your job.
Well, yeah, I suppose this got to be. Yeah, it's just a lot. I mean, at least for me, it's something to listen to a musician that is classically trained versus listening to a musician that might not have had the classical training, but they learned by ear and certain things. And it's not saying one is better than the other, but I definitely love to hear when somebody, you could tell they were just kind of had to figure out their own way of doing things. Like for example, like a couple of my favorite artists, like they're left-handed and they play the guitar upside down. They don't get a right hand or left-handed guitar. They play a right-handed, so just little things like that. And it makes the sound, different. It's not as, I guess, how can I put it? It's not as like in a box, it's a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like when you're really, really skilled at an instrument, like you have the ability to do so many things that you might almost end up doing too much when it comes to like composing. Yeah. It's like you don't want to make music that's distracting and fancy sounding. Like it's really just about finding the right emotion and getting that across. And so sometimes, like not being able to play virtuosic guitar is like hasn't really been a problem. And sometimes I actually appreciate the fact that I don't have a million options with my playing. So I kind of just find a more simple approach. And then there's times when it's like, I need to hire somebody to do like an amazing 80s guitar solo right here, but it doesn't happen too often. But yeah, it like kind of makes you take a more simple approach, I think. But like with that said, because like right when you said that, I was thinking Cliff Martinez is like one of my favorite composers. He did the movie Drive. He was back in the day, he was the drummer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow.
So he's like got a band kind of drumming background, but then has totally just made his own sound and kind of like established his own vibe. And I don't believe he ever studied composition. And that it's same thing with like Trent Reznor. It's like they didn't go to film scoring school, right. They just applied their like music taste to composition. But then like on the other hand, I also love Ludwig Göransson, who went to USC film scoring school and like Black Panther. Hello, like
he's amazing. Yeah,
so good. And like he works with Childish Gambino, and like he's just so. If you've got if you're super genius, then it doesn't matter what you do. School.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kotomi, did you have like a formal education in music, or were you just doing your own thing because it was just something you just loved to do?
Yeah, actually, I studied piano classically. When I started, my mom is a really beautiful classical pianist. So she played like very seriously all through college as a performance major. And so that was kind of an important thing in our house growing up, is you had to pick an instrument and like dedicate some time to that. She didn't make us stay with it for years and years, but I grew to love it. But yeah, I started piano when I was 5 and I played till about the end of high school. So yeah, through that, that was strictly classical, which is, I love classical music for that reason. Spent a lot of time with it. And so yeah, that taught me how to read music and how to, I think a lot of the chords and melodies and the richness of, Chopin and Beethoven and Debussy and like some of these really beautiful composers, kind of hopefully cross your fingers that it seeps into your soul a little bit so that it comes out later in life. But beyond that, no, I never really I've taken a few random voice lessons, but I probably don't sing properly with proper technique. And everything else I just kind of figured out as I went. Guitar and bass and the other instruments I kind of halfway play.
Oh, don't say that. You're killing it out here.
Killing the game.
I get by. Yeah, I'm not the best bass player, but I'm okay.
You better than me.
Look, you can make it.
Yeah,
Put
right.
the string on the guitar, so I have no clue what to do. I can't even hit a key note on the all of my artistic values are with my hands doing this. So
What do you do with this? You write?
yeah, I write and I also can like draw and paint. I'm a little bit. I just got into painting, like doing watercolor and stuff. But yeah,
I love watercolor. That's like a side hobby when I have time.
it's relaxing too. Like when you do it, because you don't have to do like a whole bunch of paint. You can just dab your little water on there and get those light strokes. And if you want to start one, it's really relaxing. Like
yeah. How do you like get good at it? Because I was looking at YouTube. I'm trying to figure out how to do it because I'm not good.
So this is how I figured it out because I never did it before either. Like all my art background is kind of similar to. I kind of just stumbled onto it and learned it. I kind of taught myself, and I didn't go to school for it until college. So
nice.
I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So she was like, watercolor. I was like, okay, I don't know how to paint, but I'll figure it out. So we went through the class. I just figured out each project, like what I was good at. Because like with the thing I do like about watercolors is you don't have to use a lot of paint. You can literally like put a little dot of paint like about that big on a palette and get you some water. And you can really almost use that for like a piece about like that big with different colors. Okay. And that's what's so nice about it. Then you can use it dried up and stuff. And you can just, when you figure out the different techniques that you like, you know, that's when you really start to have fun with it. But it's really, for me, I would just say it's really like however you feel. Whatever you feel, just do it. That's how I do my art. I just, whatever I feel. I'll throw a little line in there, put a little curve.
Yeah. Expressing yourself, you know?
Right.
If you're singing or drawing or painting.
Yeah, so that's like what you was talking about, how you get your ideas. Is like you could just be, you know, walking, or it could be sitting down, and it might. I'll be at work putting like one time I was putting some eggs on the shelf, and out of nowhere, a whole idea just came to my head, and I got my phone out. I was like writing it down. I lost the idea, and it's like it's so crazy how that can happen. Like, but when you sit down and have to write something, be like, oh my God, what am I gonna write?
I know, right? Yeah. It's stressful sometimes. Yeah, I always have my voice memo recorder ready to go on my phone. I have like thousands of, you know, just noisy, weird ideas that don't make sense, but somehow I'll listen to it and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what I was doing there. And I get back to it.
Right, you just listen to a random thing on your phone. You're like, what was that? What was I thinking?
Yeah, sometimes it's not clear at all.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing about art in general. You know, it's completely subjective. So it's just like, you know, if you like it or, you know, it's all about, I guess, what the beauty that you think it is. You know, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, you know. So as far as like having a lot of training in watercolor, because I know I suck at watercolor. I can't do that at all.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I'm terrible, but you know, if I think it looks good to me, you know, it's fine. You know, that's just what it's gonna be. So,
absolutely. That's also what makes it hard to like, you know, to have it be your career. It's like you constantly have to try to make something that, well, I guess for the song side of things, so like Kotomi is my name for my songs, which is just like my outlet where it's like your version of watercolor, where it's like, I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to do what I want. If I want to make a song that sounds like it was made in 1980, I'm going to do that and love it. But when it comes to composing, I don't use Kotomi for that. But with composing stuff, you're trying to please certain people. You know, there's usually a director or someone who you're trying to like understand what their vision is, and because it is also subjective, sometimes you land it right away and that's an amazing feeling, but other times it's hard to talk about music. So like describing what you want is sometimes hard for people. And so yeah, it's a fun dance trying to figure out, like, you know, trying to read people's minds a little bit and develop instincts so that you can make watercolor just for fun, and also some that's like, this is exactly the picture I had in my head, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's like, hey, here's something different you didn't think you wanted, and they're like, oh, this is great, you know? But yeah, that's like the fun challenge of music, and it's always different, you know, with every piece you make and every collaboration, which is, it's fun, keeps it interesting.
That's what I love about. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, man. No,
you're good. That's what cause Chad and them know I'm like a big like movie score dude. Like I will listen to a whole like movie score before I listen to the soundtrack, because
love it.
Like if you watch something and that score don't hit on that moment, then it'll throw the whole film off.
Yes.
That score is like the perfect moment. Like if it's a like really tense moment and you get that tense feeling and you be on the edge of your seat, that's when you know, like, yes, that's what, yeah. Like you said, like with Black Panther, when you listen to the score for that, like the ancestral plane, like when I listen to that score, it just like it blows my mind, because it's just I'm like, somebody just was able to come up with this like that. And like you said, you know, when you sit down and you talk with those directors and stuff, because that's another one of my hats I will soon, you know, I hope to wear one day, is a director. That's why
it'll be there
for film. So, you know, that's what I want. Like I just be sitting when I write, and I just be like, man, I can hear the music in my head, but it's like, how do you tell somebody that? Like you say, it's hard to
communicate.
But you can tell somebody what you want, but it's hard to actually get it, you know, get it down.
I know. Sometimes just talking about the feeling or the emotion that it gives you helps, you know, like what's the emotion of this scene? Like, you know, that definitely helps. But with Black Panther, it was, I listened to an interview with the composer, and, you know, he actually went to Africa and sampled and recorded local musicians. I mean, great musicians who tour around in Africa. I should know their names, but I don't. But he recorded like a lot of those drummers and flute play, like instruments that you don't have commonly anywhere else. So yeah, I'm like, wow, that is a dream, you know, to be able to just go to the location, go to the country, like meet the best local, like the best talent there, and record with them. Like, what a dream. So cool. And it just sounded amazing. I saw that in a movie theater, and it was
definitely
so hard, you know?
Yeah, that's the only way to see that movie.
Yeah, you can't see it on like Disney Plus or whatever. It's just not the
Not
same
even get the full
feeling.
experience.
Oh, I need the surround sound. I need the definitely.
The crowd as things just go on, and the music score and stuff like that. It's just, you can't beat that.
Oh my gosh, I know. Super epic, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But it's interesting that you guys pay a lot of attention to the score in movies. I've never thought about it like that, but there is one movie in particular that I did think like that about. It's this movie with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin called The Edge. And that score is amazing, because it's like it's the same song. It's the same song like the whole movie, but they change it in certain areas.
Yes.
They slow it up or speed it down, and it's just really good.
You know,
that's a good one. Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite qualities of a film score, is when it's really thematic, meaning like, you know, they have a melody, a theme that, you know, you sync up with a character, but it kind of weaves throughout the whole movie, and it just pulls you through the whole thing, and it takes you to another world, really. And I think, when that's done effectively, it's amazing. Super amazing. I recently watched Moonlight. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The score is really subtle in that, but it's just so beautiful. And that's another thing I was gonna say. A lot of people are like, I don't really pay attention to movie scores, and I think that's a good thing too, because they're not supposed to necessarily make you pay attention to them. It's just supposed to add to your enjoyment of the movie or the TV show or whatever you're watching, you know? And so if you don't notice it, but you loved the movie, then they did a great job.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of akin to the lights in a room in a movie, or the music in the background. Like, you don't pay attention to it, but it sets the mood.
Sets the tone.
Sets the tone and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a little moving part, you know, that's part of the whole picture that's telling the story.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out, The Edge.
The Edge.
No, that's a good one. Some of my other favorites are like I love the score for A Beautiful Mind. That is really good. And Queen and Slim more recently is one of my favorite scores.
Oh, Devontae Hines?
Yes, that's my guy.
Blood Orange. Right.
That's my guy.
Yeah, Blood Orange is dope.
Yes, I love his music. Okay, that's on my list of things to see. I need to check it out.
Yes, please watch it immediately, because I loved it so much. I went out and bought the vinyl for the score.
Buy the vinyl for everything.
Yeah, you have a big vinyl collection, man. Like,
that's great. You're an amazing music fan. Like, you know, buying an actual thing you can hold is.
You've got a whole crate, a couple crates full.
I have crates.
Not one crate.
Actually.
That's so awesome.
Look, I'm trying to catch up with him. I'm happy with my one little vinyl I just bought.
Man, I gotta catch up to all of you guys. I got no vinyls, but I'm gonna get there one day.
Right. But that's why it kind of surprised me, Lauren, when you pulled out the Rick and Morty vinyl. I'm like, where was I? Why did I should have had that.
I thought Chad already had a Rick and Morty vinyl.
I don't have a Rick and Morty vinyl. I do not.
You guys gotta get on that one, bro.
I got to. Yeah, I'm sleeping.
Yeah. If I get any extra, I'll send you one. But I just have the one.
Hey, that's awesome. We definitely appreciate that. But I wanted to ask though, since we have been talking about a lot of movie scores and composition, I wanted to know for you, which one of those two completely separate worlds was easier for you, and also like or harder for you, and more gratifying at the end of the day? Like, was it writing your own music where you sort of have to make up the vision that you want to, you know, put like song to, or is it easier to write music for somebody else's vision and you already know what's there, you just have to add accompaniment to it?
Right. No, that's a good question. You know, as far as which is easier, they're both very unpredictable in my experience thus far. Like, sometimes a song can be super effortless and it just falls into place and it feels kind of magical and like, wow, I don't know how that happened. That's awesome. And then the same thing can happen with a score where like a melody that's, you know, simple and emotional in the right way, like just sort of comes and you run with it, you know? But I think in both that can be really, I definitely have sometimes an easy time and sometimes I have a really hard time figuring it out, and I'll just kind of like bang my head against the wall for like a couple of days to try to figure out like what's the thing, what's the theme of the movie, and I have several songs that are missing a piece and I cannot figure out the missing piece, and it drives me crazy. Like, and sometimes eventually I do, like I'll have a song that's 3 years old and I'm like, oh, I just figured out the chorus, you know, and I'm like, I can fix that now. But you know, it's easy. It's like, yeah, it's so kind of mysterious in a way, because I don't even know what it is that helps to make a good idea come or not come. I think the best thing you can do is just consistently try and try to be prolific, and in the sense that you're just writing all the time. And there's times when I'm super tired at the end of the day, but I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna like tinker around with this little idea for a song, and I like in 5 minutes I'll come up with something. I'm like, oh, I think that's kind of cool, and that might turn into something. So I just try to like stay busy and like stay at it. But yeah, neither are always easy or hard. It's always just a mixed bag, which is, yeah, it's challenging, but super rewarding. And I would say both are equally, I couldn't say one's more rewarding than the next. Like with songs, it's like, I don't really need anyone's help to make a song. I can kind of do that on my own. And with film scoring, I kind of need a project to work on that when, and you know, you kind of have to have a connection to, you know, you need a director to know who you are and to reach out to you. So like part of the challenge with that side of my career is like to try to network and like introduce myself to people. And I often will like watch short films and things, or, you know, full-length films. But I reach out often to directors who don't know who I am. And I'm like, hey, I like your work. And here's a link to some of my stuff. Because I'm still sort of at the stage where I'm trying to get those projects, you know, and it's things I've started to pick up, which is great, but it's like, it's definitely a hustle, you know, whereas with songs, you can make the songs, but it's a hustle to get people to listen to them and to know who you are, you know, because there's just a ton of music out there and there's so much good stuff out there. So I find that like a big part of my day is reaching out to people. Like if I've recently made a song, I'm like emailing people like, hey, do you want to listen to my song? Do you want to write about it in your blog? Or, you know, let's do an interview. Let's do a podcast. Yeah. So it's like, you have to do less and less of that as people start to, as your work becomes a little bit more known. But I'm definitely at the phase where I'm like, I'm not like turning down a whole bunch of stuff yet. I'm still hustling to like get the next thing. And I'm super grateful to be busy, especially right now with COVID nightmare of a year. So much, you know, everything just came to a stop for a while, and it's starting to pick back up again, which is great. But yeah, so I'm grateful to be busy, but I guess my point is none of it's super easy. It's all a lot of work.
Yeah. But I guess that makes it not get boring for you, you know?
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I have a huge fire lit under me to always be writing, like doing creative stuff, reaching out to people, you know, like both things all the time. So I have to like, I used to not be very good at the work-life balance, and I would just kind of like always be at my computer. And so now I try to take the evenings and weekends to like hang, you know, like nothing's really more important than family and friends and all of that good stuff. So gotta like shut it off at some point. And yeah, it's always kind of can be hard to figure out that balance, you know, and there's always work you can be doing. So yeah, it's an ongoing journey for sure.
Oh yeah, I could tell. Yeah.
100%. Hopefully I'm not making it sound super hard. I mean, it's like, it's fun, you know? I love it.
Right, just like it's the worst thing ever. Don't do it.
Just go get in this business, man.
Right, you don't want none of this.
It takes forever to get to anywhere. No.
Right.
The grind is real.
It is, yeah. You just have to love it. If you love doing it, then you know it's all kind of fun.
Right, it's never really work for you, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's times when it's like, oh, why is this song not sounding right? And I have to dig into like the frequencies and like mixing and like, you know, there's some kind of like technical side of it that's like, okay, it is work. And I don't dislike it. It's just, it's not all like the fun creative part. It's like, it's a mix, but I do enjoy all of it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. If I would, I probably would have already done so.
That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what you use for your mixing and stuff? Like
oh yeah,
what kind of synthesizer machine do you
sure,
use?
Software, and I guess.
All that good stuff.
I use Logic is kind of my go-to, but I use Pro Tools a lot as well. I find that like when I collaborate with other composers, it's a lot like there's a guy that I work with who's he's a bigger name than I am, and so he has so much stuff going on that sometimes like I'll help him out with projects. And so he uses Pro Tools, so I'm like, all right, I get on the same page with him. So this is music nerdy stuff, but yeah, Logic, Pro Tools. And then most of the equipment I use is like in the computer, in the box stuff for all my effects and compression EQ and all the basic stuff. I love this Prophet 6 synthesizer. I use it all the time. And all the stringed instruments in the corner, I use as much as I can. And I love working with other musicians, I love bringing in string players, drummers. There's a guy that I have play drums on most of my stuff who's super great. And yeah, it's good to try to not do everything yourself because you can't be great at every instrument. Like I said, I'm only decent at a lot of them. So I collaborate as much as I can. And then, yeah, I mix almost everything myself. Just I have a simple setup. Like it's not too much more complicated than what you see. But just make it work, I've got some great speakers, some good monitors, and that's really important. Yeah, so that's the stuff I use.
So piano's like your go-to instrument?
Yeah, it is. That's the instrument I'm most comfortable on. Grew up playing classical piano, and that's kind of where my formal background is. I think, sorry, we already talked about that. But yeah, so I'm super comfortable on synthesizers, pianos, and then I'm decent at some of the other ones. But if I need something like fancy done, I always call a friend and have them play it.
That's pretty cool. Because I know we talked about that a little bit before the podcast started, and how your mother had you, try to start a classical instrument, just kind of, I guess, to have something to do for, and my mom did me and my brother kind of the same way. Like I play guitar, I play at the guitar, he plays at the keyboard, so like we're okay. But for me, I pretty much knew that it wasn't something I was gonna do professionally. I wanted to know with you, did you always know that you wanted to be a musician professionally? Was that something that your mother kind of put you in the direction towards? Like, how did your like career work out? Like,
I think for my mom was the reason that we were like taking music lessons and stuff growing up. I think it was really important to her that we at least tried that, and like the discipline that comes from that as a kid is really great, and I'm so happy that I did do that. But I definitely didn't always know. I didn't think I could do it professionally. Like I didn't totally know that being a composer was a tangible thing until I went to college and studied psychology.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yeah, which was super interesting, and I loved it. Yeah.
And you're in STEM. That's what's up. Okay. Scientist over here.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be maybe a marriage and family counselor or something in the psychology world, and I do really love that stuff. It was such a fascinating major. Yeah. But during college, I found myself like just in all my off time trying to making songs. They were not good songs. It was like the very beginnings of my producing. But learning and figuring stuff out. And so by the time I finished college, I knew that I wanted to work in the music industry. I didn't know if I could be a composer. Like I didn't have the skills at that point to do it, but I got an internship at a company that kind of helped me sort of pave the way and taught me a lot. Like I was good at making a specific like kind of electronic singer-songwriter. Like there's certain things I was decent at when I first started working there. But a lot of it was stuff I was learning, like we worked, like we had an orchestra, a 26-piece orchestra come in, and so I learned how to orchestrate, a piece of music for all those players. And because I had played a lot of classical music growing up, like it was fairly easy for me to figure out the parts I wanted everybody to play, but like I hadn't written a chart for a violinist or,
Right.
So a lot of that I was learning as I just sort of flying by the seat of my pants. So I was there for about maybe like 3 or 4 years. And I learned that's kind of where I got my composing training, I would say, because I didn't study it in school. So a couple years out of college, I was like, okay, I want to be a composer. And I also just have I don't know why I love making songs, and even if no one listened to them, I think I would still make them. And that's just something I always do as well. Yeah, so I'm just kind of doing both. Like when I do all of my composing work, and then if there's time left in the day, I shift over to the songwriting mode, So when COVID first came around and I didn't have a lot of work, I got to write a lot of songs, which is cool, that I'm working on finishing now. So hopefully early next year, I'll have some stuff to share.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear it, definitely.
Can't wait for that to come out.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And then sometimes the worlds kind of cross over, like my good friend who I met at the composing company that I was talking about, he went on to become the composer for Rick and Morty. And then he and I have collaborated on composition stuff before, but never a song. And so it was just like this awesome opportunity that he needed a song for the end of last season. And yeah, so then I got to make a song with him, which was super fun. But yeah, I mean, I love songwriting and composing. They both kind of feed into each other too. Like sometimes I'll stumble upon a cool sound and think like, oh, I'm going to use that in a song, or vice versa, So I think it helps kind of keep things fresh. And like, I love feeding off of pop music and like current stuff that's coming out. And like, sometimes I'll hear a sound in a song and I'll end up using that kind of in a composition. And, so they kind of, there's some like gray area between them, I would say. So it's good to be added on both sides, I think.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, needless to say, I am busy.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing, though.
Yeah. I mean, especially at this time,
Yeah.
This year we've been having is to keep yourself busy so you don't think about 2020 as a whole.
Other stuff, right?
All right. Yeah. Are you guys all gainfully employed? Like, you guys working and doing okay? Are you working from home?
Yeah, I work in every day. I haven't actually taken a day off. I've been working this entire quarantine pandemic. Yeah, thank you. I was looking for the word.
Good.
Yeah, just working from home, just trying to, just doing a little of both, trying not to go out as much as possible, because I know some areas of work is kind of harder than others, but it's just a crazy environment, so the biggest thing is when I do go out, I just got to make sure I got my mask on, which is terrible because I wear glasses, so I can't see all day.
I know the pain. Fogged up on the face, man.
You gotta pinch it, like form it more tightly around your nose, and then maybe it won't fog you up as much.
So
I'm gonna have to try that.
You gotta under the eye, like right here, like right here.
Yeah, you pinch it, and then it'll keep all that from.
Really?
Oh, really? Because I've been failing this.
I'm suffering
this mask thing for 7 months, man. Dang. Thank you for the info, man. Now I can not have fogged up glasses when I'm walking down the street. Looking like, oh, where am I at?
but yeah, Lauren, that's what I wanted to ask you kind of about COVID-19, because I know you had to quarantine and not go outside as much. So I just wanted to know that helped you out with your creative process, like having to stay home a little bit more? Or are you the kind of person that likes to, or you get inspiration from going outside more so than locking yourself in a room?
I definitely do get inspiration from like going out and interacting with people and like living life, traveling and, so I think the inspiration well kind of starts to get filled up with like, I'm alone and I'm kind of bored. I'm not totally alone, but like, being isolated and there's been some like heavy stuff that's happened in this year.
Oh, yeah.
So that's definitely like become kind of, that's filled the well, so to speak. Rather than like fun interactions and I miss going out and all that stuff. I'd say like on a day-to-day basis, my life actually hasn't changed that much because I'm always composing from this same room. And so
Okay.
when everybody was like, time to work from home, I'm like, welcome to my world. I work
Right. I've always been here.
yeah, this is where I live. So I'm pretty used to that aspect of it. When I worked at a studio, it was so much fun because I was in my own separate studio, but like interacting with other musicians all the time, and I totally miss that. But since I'm and I was like a staff writer for that company, but so now that I'm independent, yeah, I'm always in here. So it's like pretty similar. The difference is that like, you could break the monotony by going out for dinner or like going out and, I still go for walks and things like that, but I try to not, really, I haven't gone to restaurants and things like that. We're being really, trying to be really safe about it. Because
Isn't that the worst though?
Yeah.
Like, I want to go to a restaurant so bad. Like, I miss it. Like, I miss the restaurants. I miss the movies. Like, just being around groups of people. Like, I never thought that would be a thing because I'm kind of naturally an introvert. Like, I can enjoy my own company, right, and be perfectly fine. But now I'm just like, oh, I want to be in a group of people right now.
Go to a grocery store, man. It's like to be at a grocery store when I didn't like going in a grocery store before. Now I'm just like, man, I'd go to Walmart for something. Right?
I had to go through like the Walgreens drive-through pharmacy to like pick something up, and I was like, ooh, this is like, that was my thing of the whole day. Like I saw someone through the glass, and then I saw people on the street, and I went home.
Going to the grocery store is like going to the park.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, going to the park helps. I mean, it's definitely such a weird time, and I think, I'm introverted too, and I like alone time, and I'm fine with it for sure. But when that becomes your only option, it's like, oh my gosh, especially when there's like, milestone birthdays. My dad turned 70, stuff like that, where it's like,
oh wow,
it feels so, anticlimactic to not be able to throw some kind of a event, and like all get together. Thanksgiving will totally be weird, I'm sure.
No, Thanksgiving is going to be trash this year. 100%. Not weird. It's going to be trash.
I mean, the food's still going to be good, but like the interaction's going to be bad.
I know. I always look forward to the stuffing. The meal will be great, but I think
stuffing is my favorite part.
Yeah, it's the best. It's always the best. Are you guys going to like go to like outdoor like social distance meal or like plans? Do you guys know what you're going to do?
I have completely no idea yet. My family they like surprising us with stuff. Like,
Surprise!
They don't know what they'll do. Because I have a large family, so I don't know.
I love it.
Same with me and Chad. Me and Chad's folks are pretty much expecting us to ship the food through the mail.
No, like literally, like my mom or our mom and our aunt, they're really upset because, and that's funny you brought up dressing, because that's like the main event at our Thanksgiving. So it's just like, I mean, it's just almost like magic because my mom and my aunt, they make the dressing every year, and they're so upset. And they even tried to come up with a plan. They were like, yeah, so we're going to make the dressing through the door. Like, so you're going to be on one side. But it,
I can't look at recipe. That's good.
Oh, it's amazing. But it's going to be my job this year. I'm going to be the one helping my mom make dressing. So hopefully it turns out well.
Do you do it from scratch? Like, with the bread and everything, or do you like use?
Well, yeah, we usually use the. Is it? Pepperidge Farm
breadcrumbs?
There we go. The Pepperidge Farm, the Pepperidge Farm breadcrumbs, and then we use. I'm not gonna give too much of it away, but basically,
keep the recipe to yourself, man. Or your mom's gonna come on the podcast, man.
My mom's gonna kill me.
Giving out the secret recipe and everything.
But But yeah, no, it's really good though. They do their thing, but yeah, it's just gonna be odd this year with Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's, because at these times of the year, everybody wants to be around each other. So
I know we have traditions. There's it feels so sad to not be able to just do your thing. I hope can't imagine we'll be in this position this time next year. I think next year, hopefully relatively soon, we'll get it under control, but it's not good right now, which is unfortunate.
No, it's really, it's not. But one thing that the thing that I like that I've seen as far as from people reacting to it is that it's made people get a lot more creative. Like me and Joshua were actually laughing last night because we were watching an episode of The Simpsons, and the episode pretty much talked about how now everybody has a podcast. Like everybody wants, like literally, like everybody, it doesn't matter who it is. And it's kind of funny for me. It's like for the people that are celebrities, it's like, dude, why do you have a podcast? Like, leave it to the broke people. Leave it to
the one that kills me every time are that because me and my parents like to watch judge shows. So how come every judge has a podcast?
Right. Seriously, like all of them.
Yes,
you got.
Yeah.
Even Judge Judy. She has
you got Judge Judy.
She probably has one.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, nobody needs that.
Nobody needs that. Like, I don't want to have to tune in, on my podcast and listen to in my car, you putting somebody in jail. I'm okay. I don't have to listen to that. Like,
I wonder what that kind of podcast would be and what kind of content you would get from a judge podcast. Like what would that be? Like, I'm curious though. I'm kind of a little curious about them. Like, what are you selling me?
You just feel judged listening to it?
So
do you just end up feeling judged as a listener?
Oh, right, exactly. Exactly. Right.
No, thank you.
Right, no, thank you. I'm good. But the one thing for us, especially like with our podcast, and I do like that we've been able to kind of, even though we are social distance and a lot of us are, even right now, like on separate ends of the world, but we're still able to, even in the smallest way, connect through, technology. So it's kind of cool in that way,
Yeah.
I definitely do like that. So especially like connecting with you, because I remember as soon as, because I think we were in the middle, I think we did have this podcast when I saw that Rick and Morty episode. And when I heard Don't Look Back, I'm like, who is this person? Like, I have to figure out. Well, that was after I listened to it like 80 times. And I was like, Joshua, have you heard this song? You got to hear this. And I'm just like.
Yeah, we kept rewinding the episode.
Yeah, I watched that part like so many times. I was like, man.
Oh my God, that's so great. Thank you. It's so sad.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
How you put yourself through that? It's a sad.
It added so much to like Rick and like his whole struggle. It's like at one point in time he just broke down. Like he cut all that stuff he'd been doing, all that like strong behavior he had, and he was just like he pulled out the alcohol, and I was like, oh no. Like he pulled that out, I was like, oh no.
It's just dark, man. Yeah, yes. I know. They have a way with I mean, it doesn't happen too often, but sometimes the show will just drop a song in there and it's like, oh yeah, there was that Chaos song, Do You Feel It?
Yeah.
That was in I forget what season it was, but that one hit super hard too. And then there's a Blonde Redhead song that's been in there a couple times.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's
I can't remember the title. But
I can't remember it either, but it's with the oh man, it's the one with the evil Morty, is that it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the name of that song.
Yeah.
That
one. You sang it.
But they always find a way to sneak something good in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They do. Like it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like very well done, I think.
Yeah, they really.
I hope to fall into that category, but yeah, So there was a lot to big shoes to fill, like trying to write a song, for it. But we did our best. Yeah. Ryan is.
How long did it take you to write it?
That one probably a couple days. It was fairly. Okay. Ryan, the composer, Ryan Elder, who writes all the music for Rick and Morty, he sent me some instrumental parts, like kind of like what you hear in the intro of the song, those chords, and then he had a melody idea for the verse, and then I kind of wrote some lyrics for that, and then developed the chorus and like kind of added some more instrumentation to it. So like, yeah, it was a great collaboration. We bounced it back and forth. I sent it back to him, and then he sang some backing vocals, which I was stoked about. And yeah, we knocked it out in maybe 4 to 5 days, something like that, of the actual like creating of the song and recording it. And then it just took a few more days to like button up the mix and everything like that. But it's so nice when a melody and like lyrics sort of fell into place pretty naturally on that one. So it was definitely, and everyone liked it, and I was like, okay, great, we did it. I think we did something. Hopefully the fans like it, and Rick and Morty fans are so awesome and so passionate, and that the music video that they threw up on YouTube got a lot of views. And yeah, it was so cool reading all the comments, and I've never really been a part of a song that's had that kind of exposure before, so it was totally a trip and really, really exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of Rick and Morty fans reach out to you?
Quite a few, yeah. Like every single one on mostly through Instagram Messenger. And yeah, every single one. I was like, thank you, what's up? It was exciting. And yeah, some of my YouTube videos of like my own songs have like comments that are like, Rick and Morty brought me here, Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thank you. So yeah, it's definitely a very passionate group of people, which is a fun world to like get to step into, for a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah. So can't wait for season 5. I wish I could tell you some insider scoop, but I don't have any.
I thought you were just gonna be like, it's a secret. I thought you were like, I know things, but it's a secret. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
No, I don't know anything. Super top secret.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So how did the one other one, like I didn't realize you were in until later, was the Rick dance? How did that even happen? Yeah. Like what's the story behind that?
Yeah. At that time, I was working. Ryan and I may have said this already. We both worked at a company called Emoto, and we were composing. We were staff composers for the company, writing a bunch of music every day. And he had just started working on that show. I think it had just gotten picked up and was like it was kind of in the early stages, And I actually hadn't watched any of Rick and Morty when that came through. So I was kind of like, I didn't know what it was. And then I watched the footage and was like, this is so random and awesome. And so I just, he kind of was like, hey, you want to sing? It's a really short thing. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I just recorded the vocals and sent it back to him, and he did the rest of it. So he wrote
That's
the
pretty cool.
melody and everything. Yeah. And then once it happened and it came on, I was like, oh wow, I got to be a part of like a really awesome show, and I was super excited. But at the time, I didn't know what it was. Yeah. So I'm honored to have sang the Rick dance.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Good episode. Yeah.
Yes, definitely really good episode.
No, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was.
It usually is. They're pretty crazy, those guys.
Oh,
definitely. Yeah, I don't know how they come up with this stuff, but they definitely are.
Hey, I love it.
I'd love to be in the room hearing them spitball ideas. Like seriously.
I think I heard like that they get drunk and do some of that stuff. Like, that's like I heard.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
When
Dan Harmon got like super drunk and he was trying to do like the lines, they were like giving him lines to do it, and I'm talking about like he was drunk and he could the funniest thing ever. Like,
I think I saw that video. Yeah.
Yes.
Bro, it's like
Sometimes
it's
you
like
gotta get that. I mean, Rick's always drunk, so
Exactly. So it
no,
was
it's
like
his character, so like
Right.
I love it.
Right. It's just the ultimate form of method acting.
Yeah.
drunken method acting, just
Exactly.
stumbling into your character by drinking. Okay.
Yes.
You know, a funny story that you guys might get a kick out of, not Rick and Morty related, but on the nerd tangent, Comic-Con, my husband is a super Comic-Con fan. Like, he's probably gone for the last 13 years, something like that.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, very dedicated. So I started going with him, and I think it was maybe 2 years ago that we were driving down to San Diego, and I was looking at the schedule and realized that there was this awesome composer panel happening at like 11 a.m. or something. And it was a lot of like composers for cool TV shows that I really respected. I'm like, oh, I'd love to go check that out, you know? So he's like, okay, I think we can get us there in time. And we hit a bunch of traffic, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it. Let's just go check into the Airbnb, and like, I can just catch another panel. There's a whole bunch of them. He was like, no, we are going to go to this panel. Hey, I'm going to drive you straight there. I was like, okay. So he dropped me off right at the convention, and I'm like running in, and I was like a few minutes late, but I sat in on this panel, and one of the composers who was talking, his name is Sid Khosla. He at some point said, like, you know, I listen to all music that people send me. If you want to send me a message on Facebook or something, he like kind of threw out an open call like that. And so I was like, yes. So I like, I think within like a couple hours, I had my laptop, and I was like, I had my website ready to go, and like sent him, you know, here's a song that I'm working on, and here's a link to like my compositions. And he actually listened to it right away, or like later that day, and was like, this is great. Do you want to come by my studio and have coffee sometime? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, totally. And so that ended up, long story short, leading to a lot of the composing projects that I'm working on right now. Like right after that, he got the Nancy Drew project for the CW.
Wow.
And he was like, I kind of want to involve like a female voice, because, you know, main character is a female. Do you want to sing on this? So I had to audition a little bit and like do a few like audition scenes for him, which went well, thank goodness. And yeah, so he wrote kind of the main thematic melody for Nancy Drew, and I ended up taking that and singing it and adding some like synth stuff and some cello, and helping him create the theme song of the show. And so now I write music for every episode of that show. And
That's awesome.
Which is super fun, yeah. And then he and I are also co-composers on a show called Love Victor, which is on Hulu. Anyways, like, it's just so funny to me that like none of that would have happened if I hadn't run into that panel. Like, if my husband had been like, no, we're gonna go. So
that's pretty cool.
It's a fun, like I owe it to Comic-Con.
Comic-Con saves the lives out here. You know?
See, look at that.
Comic-Con changed my life. Yeah.
Hey guys, like hashtag Comic-Con changed my life. Shout out to Comic-Con.
Hashtag go to Comic-Con next year, guys. You know.
Right. So.
I hope we can. Right.
Right, and that's for all our listeners and all of our viewers out there. You know, this is a perfect example. Go to Comic-Con. Magic stuff happens at Comic-Con. So definitely.
You get outside of your comfort zone, your studio or wherever, and you go out into the world and meet people. And like, I remember after that panel, I think Matt Quayle was on the panel, and he does the music for Mr. Robot and like American Horror Story and a bunch of like great.
Oh, wow.
He's really, really talented. And I was like, I'm going to give him my business card. And I like very awkwardly handed it to him. And I was literally like, oh my God, my hands are trembling. Like, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, get your shit together. And I was just like, hello. I said something really awkward and like ran away. But at that same day is when I like got, you know, Sid's invite to basically send him something on Facebook. So it was kind of like a win. Awkward scenario and a good scenario, you know. But it worked out.
Yeah. I mean, Well, that's just the thing, you know, and I always love hearing stories like that. You know, it's even if something doesn't go exactly like you want it to, at least you put yourself out there, and then, you know, one of those situations you got something fantastic
honestly,
from, you know?
and like I've learned so much from the work I've done with him, and it's just been, that was totally a game changer for me. So it's good to like get out there and talk to people. And like, if you're a female composer, there's an organization called the Alliance. I always screw the title up. Alliance for Women Film Composers, and it's all female film composers. And they have meetings. I mean, before COVID, we'd have in-person meetings. And like, you don't have to have any big screen credits or any even experience. If you are a composer, you write music and you want to, you know, get more professional with it, anyone can join. And so it gives you an opportunity to like basically go up to there's some really successful, talented women who are part of the group, and they hold like discussions and different like little events where they'll have you come to a certain home studio and you can see how this, you know, synthesizer works. And they do really thoughtful, cool events like that. So anyways, there's lots of little composer societies and things like that. So if anyone is listening who's feeling like kind of they're in it all by themselves, it's like you can find some of these groups online and at least find a resource for asking questions and interacting with people. And you never know what you're going to learn, you know, just by chit-chatting with strangers who are great at what they do, you know.
Right. And they do the same things you're interested in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So don't be shy. Go to Comic-Con, go talk to people. And also, when you're not doing that stuff, obsessively write music so that you get, you know, you figure out your style and you get good at it. It takes a little bit. The 10,000 hours, I think, is probably
that's
off.
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell, you know. But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, just for go ahead, Josh. Were you gonna go, bro?
Yeah, guys. It's always good to put yourself out there and constantly look for opportunities for the things you like to do. Yeah, Kotomi, I wanted to ask you about how how does streaming services play into your advertising? Like, have you been getting a lot of is there any kind of meter that tells you the engagement that you get from streaming services? And also, how do you get on Amazon Music and stuff like that? Is it like a service you have to pay for?
Yeah. So if you have a song that you want to release, anyone can do it through there's companies called like TuneCore, DistroKid, and they're basically the middleman between you as an artist and Spotify, Apple Music, like basically all of the streaming services. And you have to pay a fairly reasonable amount. Like they have kind of different payment plans, but it doesn't break the bank. And pretty much, I love that it makes it accessible to basically anyone to upload a song and it'll appear, you know, so anyone can really do that. As far as tracking it goes, you do that through a performance royalty organization. I think that's the right word. So you join, if you're, you know, at least this is the way I've done it, is I joined BMI. You can do BMI or ASCAP, and this is a company that kind of tracks the royalties and the earnings. And it's a little bit of a mystery to me. It seems like little fractions of pennies that kind of float in. And like with composing stuff, you definitely, my current understanding is that anything that plays on network television tends to pay you more than something that's showing up on Hulu or Netflix on the back end. Like as far as like, all the reruns that play for years and years, you'll probably make a little more money if it's on traditional television than streaming services. So yeah, things are always changing. I'm hoping that as everyone shifts to pretty much just the streaming stuff, that musicians are able to kind of get what they should, you know. Hopefully we can negotiate and make it better. I don't think it's great right now, you know, but But on the flip side, anyone who makes a song, you know, can put it up on Spotify, SoundCloud, and, you know, people get discovered that way and can like garner a following without a record label, without like the traditional, like, you know, you used to have these barriers of like, oh, if I could only get on the radio, you know,
Right.
like you see virtually unknown artists that'll pop up on like a New Music Friday playlist on Spotify. And then, you know, things can happen organically in a way that I think is really cool. So technology, I think, has, you know, it's good in some ways and it creates some struggles in other areas, but it's just the way of the future. You know, you kind of just adapt.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you in that. Like, I definitely like, it's especially for creatives. There's so many different venues that you can get yourself noticed on, or just get your work out there. Like you said before, for musicians, the biggest thing was like, oh man, if I could only get a record deal, if I could only get on the radio. Even for like, I love the environment for actors, because it's just like you have not only shows that get, you know, streamed or replayed on these streaming platforms, but you have news shows that are specific for these platforms, and that's so many jobs for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. There's a lot of content out there, you know. Definitely. It's a fun time to watch shows. Like, there's so many choices. I find that,
almost too many.
I know. I don't know what
way too many.
What'd you say?
I said you can't keep up with everything.
I know. No. I know. You gotta pick and choose.
You can watch one show and then here's another one that creeps up right on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lauren, I really wanted to talk to you about it because I love your aesthetic, because you're in something else that, you know, a lot of us, well, certainly everybody here at the Square Roundtable, like, we're huge fans of Love, Death, and Robots. Like, like huge fans of that. So, like, what was it like? You did some composition for that show also?
I did, yeah. My friend Rob does most of the music. He kind of oversees and does most of the composing for that show. And there's certain episodes that are, you know, that are done by other composers, but he does a bulk of it. And there was one episode that he asked if I could help him out with. So I did a lot of it. It was like a chase scene, and it was kind of like horror and lots of wild kind of orchestral sounds. So it was super fun, super getting to work with him on that. And I know he's working on, I think, a new season of that.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. I hope I get to maybe weasel my way into some more of that show. It'd be really fun.
Hey, I'm here for it. I want it. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. No, that was a fun one for sure. That was a great one. What else? Oh, no, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something interesting to tell you about that show, but I think that's all I got.
Well, the thing I like about that show the most is just that, once again, it's another platform for a lot of different people to get their work out there. Like, because every little kind of mini episode is completely different, and somebody else does the art for it and the music for it. So, I really like that environment, and it's awesome that you were able to be a part of that. That's
thanks. Yeah, definitely. I know it's a good time to be a creative working person. I think there's so many projects, like you're saying, so many shows, so many videos, and like, even if you don't have the opportunity to work on a Netflix show, it's like you can collaborate with friends and people who, you know, you can post something on Vimeo and it can sort of take off, and a lot of people will see it. Like, if you know, just get a little crew of creative people together, I think you can make, the technology is great, and you have the tools with your computers and minimal amounts of stuff to make really creative and cool things. So I'm all about, like, the DIY stuff as much as you can. No excuse to not be able to make something come to life, right? Some kind of
right. Yeah. And then it doesn't have to be like a break the bank sort of thing, you know, also.
Oh, exactly. Totally. Lots of things being shot on iPhones and
definitely.
And you can really download a basic Logic software, and really with minimal amounts of other investments, you can kind of make pretty great music, you know, if you know how to use the tools. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna definitely put like all of that information in the description below for anybody out there that wants to, know how to make music and not break the bank, and not put all your money out there. Kind of like Lauren was saying, completely DIY, do it yourself.
Yeah. Another resource I would recommend is the website splice.com. You can rent, like there's certain synths like Serum and these different synths that have great sounds. If you don't have the money or want to invest in the full thing, you can pay monthly to kind of rent these different instruments that are just kind of appear on your computer as soon as you subscribe or pay a monthly fee. So it's like it allows you to kind of audition different things before you really invest in buying them, which is really cool. So it makes it even more accessible, to be able to get good sounds is like a big part of the equation. So yeah, that's another thing to check out.
Definitely, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you don't have to spend thousands of dollars creating a beat lab, everybody.
No.
Yeah, you can just use an iPhone and an app,
Yeah.
Right.
And imagination,
Oh my gosh,
Exactly.
there's Nick Mira is a super great hip hop producer. And I was watching a video of him like producing live, like I don't know if it was just a live stream or something. And he was recording a guitar part or a vocal part. I think it was both. And both of them he recorded with his iPhone. And like these songs are huge,
wow.
It's like, because he kind of samples them and you end up kind of messing and affecting them anyway. So it's like, hey, you can sing into your phone, fly it into Logic or whatever program you're using, and it's like everybody has a microphone in their pocket basically.
Yeah, I mean, especially with these iPhones, I'm paying like you pay $1,200 for a phone. It better be able to do something. I mean,
Should be able to make me breakfast in the morning.
It should just be like make a beat, and then the phone just makes the whole beat for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
I
But
need a song from my phone.
I'm telling you. But yeah, one thing I wanted to know, like because we talked about this a little bit before, where did your stage name come from? Like I know like your actual name is Lauren, but where did Kotomi come from?
Actually, that's my mom's name. So my mom is half Japanese. So my grandma is full Japanese, and
wow.
She named my mom Kotomi, although like she kind of goes by Kathy now, but Kotomi is her name. And my grandma, or Bachan as we say, she told me that the name itself actually has inherent meaning, which I think is so cool about the Japanese language. It's like our names don't necessarily mean anything, but Kotomi means the beauty of old cities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like Kotomi is old cities beauty. That's how she broke it down for me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I was kind of amazed by that. Like it's 3 syllables, but kind of a beautiful sentiment, So when I was trying to figure out my name, so I'm married now, but my last name used to be Hillman. So going by Lauren Hill Man was a little too close to Lauren Hill, who I love, and I didn't want to. It's like I can't just be 1 syllable different from Lauren Hill. So I was brainstorming about it. My mom was like, "You can use my name if you want." I was like, "Oh my gosh, really cool! That sounds great," So
that's what's up.
So that's where it came from. Yeah, the family name.
Mom, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like we were talking about before, either way, you got a cool name. Lauren Hill is still a
Oh man, when I first saw Sister Act 2, I fell in love with her voice. She was like my idol as a teenager.
No, certainly. I mean, and she really just like broke down, because everybody like kind of coins Drake as like being, yeah, this is like the first singer rapper, but she was doing it back then, like she really broke down those doors, man. Like when I first heard her rap, I was like, oh my God, like this lady is sick.
Yeah.
Boogie, because she get down on the mic, man.
Yes, gets
Something
all
about
the way down.
Tone, just the tone of her singing voice is so rich, and it's like that's a hard thing to do much about. You kind of have your voice kind of sounds how it sounds in a certain way as far as the tonal quality, and like she's just gifted, so beautiful and so unique.
No, definitely. I really appreciate her as an artist, but and we definitely feel the same way about you, Lauren. Like,
oh my gosh,
think your stuff. Yeah, we think you're amazing.
Thank you.
Of course,
very
of
kind
course.
Of you.
Oh man, it's no problem. It is no problem at all. But like
some more songs that you like, kind of soon.
Definitely, I know.
Can't wait.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, what were you going to say, John?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Kotomi, I particularly like A Good Thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder, how do you make it sound so like airy and laid back? Like, what's your process on doing that with the whole synth?
Yeah, that's a good question. Lots of experimenting with different effects and things, and like throwing a lot of reverb and delay on stuff is kind of, I love doing that. It kind of sounds a little spacey, Yeah, keeping it simple as much as you can and just getting the sound to carry a lot of that vibe, with the right effects. Just a lot of knob twisting. I don't know. What did I do on that song? I played guitar and bass, and then I found some drum samples and kind of like threw that beat together. I don't know. Yeah, just kind of messing around.
Are you a hip hop fan at all? Like, are you?
I love Kendrick Lamar is probably one of my favorite hip hop artists.
Okay. All right.
I loved To Pimp a Butterfly. I listened to that many
Nice.
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that album amazing. It's just so like. I think he rented out like a real studio and had these like incredible musicians coming through, like jazz musicians, and like it's just so like thoughtful and deep. And anyway, so he's probably my favorite. But yeah, I mean, I love a lot of Outkast. I can't rattle off a ton of artists, but I definitely have some that I really love. Yeah. How about you guys?
I'm a big
Outkast. Big what?
Outkast. I love Outkast.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're best.
Like, people sleep on Big Boy too, but like they like the best like opposite like combination of like a duo rap group. Like, they are awesome. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not just because I'm from Atlanta. Like, I just love them as a group because they remind me so much of like A Tribe Called Quest, the Fugees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a melodic. It's catchy, it's so unique. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's me. I love it. And of course Kendrick Lamar. I mean,
of course.
Yeah, you can't really beat that. Kendrick is dope, man.
Kendrick is the truth, man.
Definitely.
Like, I want him to release new music so badly.
Thank you.
Exactly. It's been like 3 years, man.
So much is going on.
Drop a project, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Make 2020 good, okay? Like, we got a couple months, man. Just drop something real quick.
Right, drop something right before Christmas.
Drop a song or a sample. I don't care, man. Just something.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. But yeah, Tribe Called Quest is so good. Yeah, you probably named, those are probably my 3 favorites. Of course, I gotta love Snoop. I'm from Long Beach.
Gotta represent.
No, you gotta rep it.
Yeah.
But no, we can totally hear it. That's why I asked, because like a lot of your music, I'm like, okay, I can hear some hip hop undertones. Like, I mean, I can definitely hear it. So that's why I was like, she's got to be a hip hop fan.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That makes me very excited. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than like the rhythms of hip hop and the bass and the drums and like that. Yeah, I can't say that I capture that, but I hope it gets in there somewhere because I do love it. It's
powerful, no, definitely.
You know? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It just emotes a certain type of feeling, you know, like.
Oh yeah. It's like instinctual, you know. You kind of you feel it when the bass hits. When it hit,
right, it's got to hit just right, you know. Definitely.
It does. It does.
Yes.
I think there's definitely some hip hop in there. I was like a huge Daft Punk fan.
Oh yes.
Love that. Yeah.
Same.
I got to see them play there was this weird festival. Well, I say weird, just it only lasted a couple years, but it was called Vegas. And it was in Las Vegas. And it just was, I guess it wasn't successful, but it was such a fun festival. And I saw Daft Punk play there. And it was just awesome. So fun. So yeah, I was kind of like, I think that sort of their approach to synths and I think was a big influence on me as well. I love
it's infectious.
Yeah, totally. And then I was like in college, I was super into Radiohead, which probably a lot of people were. It's like basic of me, but so gorgeous. And so they were a big influence on me. And then Chopin, if I were to go back to the classical. Yeah. Chopin is probably my favorite composer from back in the day.
Way back in the day. Chopin is
way back. Yeah, old school for sure.
Yeah.
So I like a lot of different kinds of music. It's good. It's good to be eclectic.
I think so.
I think it kind of throws interesting elements in there. So I try to listen to a lot of different music. I don't listen to as much new music as I should. Sometimes I get too busy to like remember, like I gotta listen to some new stuff, but I try to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Radiohead because that reminds me of my freshman year of college because me and Dmitri had this obsession with, you know what I'm talking about, Karma Police.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I used to bump that every day walking to classes, like Karma Police, like all the time. Like, that was it. That was my song. Certainly.
That's a great one. I know. I loved that album. That was OK Computer, right?
Yes, OK Computer.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with any song on that album. And then I was super into Kid A, and that was kind of on repeat for my college dorms. So
I'm telling you, it's just like that. Yeah, it's just I love when you have music, and that's my favorite thing about just that art form because it can take you back, you know, to certain periods of your life, and it.
Oh, I know. I'm just agreeing. Yeah, it can be very nostalgic to listen to certain bands.
Definitely. So just like that's how I know that's exactly how it's gonna be. Don't Look Back. Every time I listen to that now, I think about the interview and just where we were at.
Right where we're at, exactly.
I'm gonna actually look back.
Don't look back.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry, Lauren.
I can allow it.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
Look back.
Exactly.
Well, I'm honored that song wove its way into your consciousness a little bit for a minute.
Oh, it did. It did for a lot of people.
Man. That makes me so happy.
It was like from the moment it like started, I was like, oh no. Here we go. I was like, here we go. I was like, here we go now.
Exactly.
Oh jeez. I felt the same way when I was singing it. Yeah. Tapped into all my sad feelings. Then I tried to be a little bit like hopeful as the song went on, but it's mostly those sad feels.
It's completely sad. Yeah. But like I tell everybody, I love sad music. Like that's just like my favorite type. I mean, it just brings the most emotion out of a song.
Yeah.
Like happy music is cool, but sad music is where it's at.
I was literally listening to Janis Joplin's Maybe before I got on the podcast. So
see,
like sad. I wasn't sad, but like it was one of the most like saddest songs right now listening to.
Damn. Yeah, I have to agree. Sorry, sounds like a fire truck just drove by.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I love sad music. It's like anytime I have to try to write something happy, it's like I have to dig deep and like it doesn't come. Sad stuff comes so much more easily for me.
See. Do you have a go-to song? Like, what's your favorite? Do you have like a favorite song of all time that you just?
Oh my gosh, I would probably have to fall back somewhere between like Peter Gabriel in Your Eyes.
Are you serious? That is my song. Oh my gosh. Lauren, look, let it be raining outside and I gotta drive somewhere. That's what's playing. That's going down.
I saw Peter Gabriel and Sting at the Hollywood Bowl. And when he played that song, I literally like stood up and was just there were tears. It was
yes.
Very
all my instincts they return.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, I think I even choreographed a dance to it in high school, which would be very embarrassing. I don't think I do that anymore. But yes, that's like an all-time favorite.
Yes, that guy in Red Rain. Oh my
gosh, get out of here! It's so good. Okay, and then on the sad song note, have you ever listened to "Someone Great" by LCD Sound System?
No. I'm gonna have to listen to that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
It's a sad song. It's like someone's passed away. It's heavy, but it's like kind of hypnotic, and I think you'll dig that one.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm have to write that down. So it said it's something great or someone great by LCD Sound System.
Someone great. Yeah. That's another sad anthem for me.
All right, I'm gonna have to definitely put that in the vault. Got you. Okay, yeah, I'm listening to it 100%. Because obviously you have fantastic taste in music, so I trust you.
He's gonna be like crying after the podcast, like she shouldn't have told me this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any other super sad ones. But yeah, sad songs where that makes me feel all the feelings.
All of it, all the feels.
Oh yes,
definitely.
But yes, Laura. So one of the last things I wanted to ask you was, you're doing great in your career, and obviously, all of us here are fans, and we just think you make fantastic music.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be chatting with you guys, and so happy you reached out.
Oh man, the pleasure is ours. We certainly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But now a word from our sponsors. The Square Roundtable podcast is brought to you by 2 Photon Art. 2 Photon is an art collective whose primary mission is to make science more accessible through science communication and art. Some of their art includes science-themed patches, jewelry, stickers, zines, and clothing, all of which contribute to the inclusivity, equality, and the overall advocacy for human rights in and out of the scientific community. You can find all of these wonderful pieces on 2photonart.com. And for all our YouTube viewers out there, we will add all of their website and social media info in the description below. Hey, all you freaks and geeks out there, we are the Square Roundtable. The Square Roundtable podcast is brought to you by Science on a Postcard. Science on a Postcard is an online store that specializes in science-themed enamel badges, lanyards, environmentally friendly tote bags, notebooks, and lots more goodies that represent individuality and inclusivity in the scientific community. You could find all these wonderful products on scienceonapostcard.com. And for all our YouTube watchers out there,
We will add their website and all their social media platforms in the description
Definitely.
below.
But for all of our viewers out there and listeners, for anybody that wants to compose or, you know, singer-songwriter, anything, like what kind of advice would you have for somebody trying to have a similar career path with you?
My advice would be to absolutely let go of whatever fear is holding you back, because I think we all have a little voice that's like afraid it's not going to be good. I know I've had that and do still have that. So be bold, make stuff, and make stuff all the time. The more the better. And you're going to probably, if you're like me, you're going to make stuff that's okay, and then it eventually will get better. But just having your path and having a journey and not being afraid to like leave a trail musically, and to just keep going, because it's really easy to get discouraged as an artist, as a composer. There are so many times when it feels like no one's hearing the music that you're making, but it's important to just not give up. And that's really cliche, but just keep going. And that's I think the most important thing. I think talent, some sort of God-given talent, may be a small factor, and it might not even be a factor. I think there are people that literally figure it out because they don't stop, and they find their groove, and they find their inspiration by doing. So, you know, even if you don't think you're musical, if you love it, you'll find your path and do what makes you happy, do what you love, you know? And there's probably a niche of people out there, if not a great group of people out there, that will love it, you know? And when you get that first message from somebody who is touched by something you wrote, you know, it keeps you going, and that's an exciting moment. But yeah, just don't give up, as simple as it sounds. That's it.
That's what's up. And those, you know, those are great words. I completely agree with you. And that's in any field, you know, guys, not just being a singer, songwriter, or, you know, being a director or a teacher or a scientist or what have you. You know, it's all about not giving up, because I always like to say that failure isn't what inhibits success. Giving up inhibits success. So as long as you keep moving forward, you know, it might take you longer or it might not, but you know, if you keep your mind focused on your goal, you'll get there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, Lauren. I appreciate those words.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Of course. And cheers to all of you in your careers, and please, like, stay in touch. Follow me on Instagram so I can, you know.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe you might
definitely.
be working together one day. You never know.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Totally.
saying?
Yeah.
Connections.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love that.
See, there you go. And that's exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
True.
But yeah, Kotomi, one more question. What's the difference between producing and composing? They both seem pretty similar, but like, is there any difference?
They go hand in hand. I would say producing is kind of, sometimes I'll produce something that I didn't compose, and what that means is like someone over here is like, hey, here's the melody for this scene, and they'll play it on a piano, and then they'll say, we need it to feel kind of like Stranger Things. I'm just being hypothetical, but then you sort of have like the ingredients, and it's like, okay, now as a producer, if you wear the producer hat, you're figuring out how to take that melody and bring it to life, and you choose the sounds. So like if I was working with an artist, they've written the song, but if I'm the producer, I might say, I think we should use an upright bass and some strings, and like you kind of curate the sounds that you're gonna use. So that's a lot of people who are producers are also composers. Like there's tons of overlap, but yeah, there's plenty of composers that like if you're a songwriter and you just play your song on the guitar and it ends up sounding like something that would be like, you know, it's a pop song, you probably worked with a producer who made the beat and recorded all the instruments and that sort of thing. So it's like they work together hand in hand. Does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and they're different skills for sure. But both are fun, and I do both of them pretty much all the time, most days. I
And
was
they
always,
incorporate. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was always really fascinated by producing, so that's something that was kind of what I wanted to do, even more than being a songwriter, is I wanted to learn how to make the sounds. But yeah, so I do both.
And they incorporate a lot of the same skill sets.
Yeah, definitely. You have to have, an idea of an ear for the melody and the chords and the rhythms. So there's definitely a lot of overlap. But also, if you write songs and that's your skill, and that's all you want to do, then it's important to find a producer that you have similar tastes with, and that duo can be really powerful. So it's oftentimes a good partnership between a writer and a producer.
Oh, and how long have you been producing?
10 plus years, something like that. I mean, yeah, my early productions were rough, but maybe 10 years, something like that. I lose track a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just like anything else, early things but it's just like a learning curve. You get better as you keep doing it. So
exactly. And I would say it's really an important thing for me is to always kind of listen to something that I like. Like if I have a song that's sort of in the genre of another artist, I'll just listen just for the reference of like, how am I doing with my mix? Like, does it sound muddy? Does it sound kind of far away or quiet? Or it's important to kind of, for me to try to sort of A/B it with something that I aspire to become as I'm learning how to produce, like.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if I'm working in a genre that I don't know very well, I'll listen to like a lot of that's well done and try to analyze it. And YouTube is an amazing resource. There's so many smart engineers showing you how to mix and how to make it this sound, and how to make different style beats. And so I mean, just with the internet, with YouTube, you can learn so much if you just do a little digging.
No, so YouTube is a huge information hub. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's you never stop learning as a writer or as a producer, especially as a producer. I'm just the other day, I forget what I looked up, but there was something I was trying to figure out. How did they get that vocal sound, on that song? So it's just if you constantly like to learn, then you might enjoy a creative career. Because it doesn't really stop.
That's what's up. I mean, that's my kind of career right there. Always learning something. We're big on that.
I'm sure anyone that works with people like Demetrius, you work with kids. I'm sure you're learning things every day. And Chad, I know you work in science, so I forget. I'm sure everyone learns every day. But what do you do again in science?
Yeah, I'm an environmental scientist. I'm a chemical analyst. So, yeah.
Okay. I love it. And you feel the same way, that you're always learning something new?
Oh, it's rough. It's like a war zone. I'm always learning something, working with like harsh chemicals, like having to literally learn. This is a little like anecdote. I had to learn how to do dilutions, right? Like really, really fast. So this was like my second day. And in college, I was terrible with dilution. So I'll explain it a little bit. Like, let's say I bring in something from a sewer or something, or like McDonald's, and it's like really, really greasy, right? Mm-hmm. So when I put my sample into my machine, it has to read it. And if it's too messy, it can't read it. So the machine will tell me, okay, well, you need to dilute this however many times. And my machine only dilutes up to like 20 times, right? So let's say I have to do something crazy, like the machine will give me back, oh, you need to do 1,000 times dilution. Well, how do you do that? I had no idea. So my boss wanted me to do that, and he was like, yeah, Chad, so do this 1,000 times dilution, and when I get back, it'll be done, right? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I ran to the bathroom and looked on my phone. I'm like, how do you do dilutions? Like, so literally, I watched like a 5-minute YouTube video on how to do dilutions. And when I came back, I looked like a superstar. But before then, I had no idea how to do that. So,
oh my God.
Hey, man.
There you
That's cool.
go. You learn as you go, man.
Learn as you go. So I'm always, everybody here is big on, education. And so it's just, and it's fun, having to learn new things. You never get too old to learn something new. Ever.
Yeah, definitely not.
Keep you sharp,
It keeps you 100% sharp. And you know what, Lauren, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight.
Thank you so much, guys. It's so nice to meet you all. You're so thoughtful and sweet and fun to talk to. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Here.
Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely. And for all of our viewers and listeners out there, please tell them like everything, all your social media, where to find your music, what new projects you have coming up, all of it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I guess just find me on Instagram, Kotomi Music. And then if you want to find me on Spotify, just Kotomi, Kotomi. And then my website, KotomiMusic.com, has a lot of compositions and other like instrumental things you could listen to if you're interested. I've got season 2 of Love Victor coming in the door any day now, so I'm excited to be working on that. And yeah, likely a new album. I think I'm going to actually, thus far it's been singles and songs and kind of one-offs here and there, but I think I'm going to have an actual album, hopefully early next year.
Awesome.
Hey, cool.
So keep an ear out for that, and I'll post about it, of course. And I hope you like it.
Great. Yeah, and we will have all of Kotomi's information in the description below. And guess what time it is, guys?
Shameless promotional.
Yes, it is time for my shameless promotion. So you can catch the Square Roundtable podcast every Friday on MajorZoneMusic.com at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Central time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time.
And you can catch us on YouTube on Friday at any time. And if you like it, like the video, share and subscribe. And also comment down below, because we love reading comments. Like, I like interacting with different people and stuff like that. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell right under the video on the right side. Yeah.
Exactly, guys. Hit that bell so you'll know whenever we have a new video coming out. And please comment, and because we like to read all your comments and tell us some of your favorite sad songs. You already know what we like put some Adele in there, anything.
Yeah.
Let us know what y'all like, what sad songs you like to vibe to.
So I can start a collection, have all the sad song collections. I'm like just listening to them and start crying and everything.
Exactly. So I can just lay in my bed in my shower. Joshua, you
right?
Right, exactly.
I make a collection of songs.
Exactly.
I have a playlist on YouTube, just chat boy hours, man.
Exactly. But yeah, guys, so I would like everybody here, including our wonderful guests, to introduce themselves one more time before we sign out. And once again, I am your host, Chad Singleton.
Josh Singleton.
I'm Marcus.
I'm Lauren. Lauren Culjak, also known as Kotomi.
All right, guys, and this has been the Square Roundtable. We are out.
Peace.
Bye-bye.